What is up, everybody, and welcome to another issue of the Comic Book Club with my sister, Anakin.
Yo.
And I'm your other host. It's Ben Pye. This week, I don't have the correct... Comixology is not here. Now it is. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, shoot. Oh, no.
You messed up.
Why is it like this?
You messed up.
Why, though? There we go. Woo. You guys, some behind the scenes of what Ben Pye does to attempt to make this stream run. Boom. Look at that. Yeah, good enough. We won't worry about it. Okay, anyways, this week's book, as I smack the microphone, is... Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Aphra. Aphra.
Oh.
This is not the first time you encounter Dr. Aphra, but the first of her standalone comic. So, for those of you who don't know, I chose this book because I really like Star Wars. I know, it's surprising. If there's one thing that I talk about more than comic books on my own streams, it's probably Star Wars. And the fact that there are so many Star Wars comics out there to choose from to just bring my two loves together, it's just ridiculous.
And you just can't read them all, can you?
I can certainly try. But for your own knowledge, Dr. Aphra comes into Star Wars comics in the Darth Vader comics. Vader tracks someone down to do things for him without Palpatine knowing. So he finds Dr. Aphra right as she finds 000.
Oh, okay. I was like, ooh, I dare you to say the Chewie's name. Chewbacca.
Kirstenton.
Exactly how I read it was murmur.
There's a K in there, you know that,
You
right?
know what? Then come on.
Come on. There's also a T in the middle.
Shut up.
You were so close, though. She was a really interesting character because she kind of has the swagger of Han Solo, but a little more
Edgy like Boba Fett.
delightfully pessimistic. Is how I would describe her. Like when she meets Vader in the Vader comics, she's like, she's cracking jokes, and Vader's like, "Do you think making jokes is going to, make being around me better?" She's like, "Nope, but I'm absolutely terrified, so I don't know what else to do other than to make jokes."
I really loved her character. I will totally get on board with that. She was a really fun character to read.
Yeah.
I like Chewie better than this one, but
he's a little different.
a little selfish.
Well,
Which, is on point
he's a
with
bounty hunter.
The rest of the characters.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. So let's talk about. So the story for this one is by Kieran Gillen. I hope I am saying that correctly.
You at least try, man. I give you credit for that.
And the art, now this is the really difficult name, is done by Kev Walker. I hope I said that right, too.
My brother's an idiot.
You have another brother?
I have no comeback.
Anyways, so this book is kind of the first standalone of Dr. Aphra. And I have to say, between this and then finally going back and reading some more backstory on how she got to where she is in this book, um, super interesting. And I'm gonna continue reading Dr. Aphra after this. I'm gonna spoil that part now. But yeah, I think there are definitely some vibes from like you definitely get a lot of Star Wars vibes from it. She's definitely a Han Solo like character. She travels with a Wookiee who's like Chewbacca, and she has a torturous protocol droid and a murderous astromech.
Yeah. You get Star Wars vibes.
I get Star
Duh.
Wars. I get Star Wars vibes from Dr. Aphra, guys. I know it's probably surprising to you, but yeah, totally get Star Wars vibes from Dr. Aphra. I'm just going to try and just center that a little bit. But yeah, so let's jump down. No, let's jump into it story wise. First off, like you're introduced to Dr. Aphra, who is an archaeologist, a space archaeologist.
I burnt my tongue. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We're professionals.
That hurt so bad. Okay.
You have nothing to say about a space archaeologist?
Oh, the space archaeologist is awesome. It was kind of funny because you get vibes of Han Solo in this, and then Indiana Jones, and you're like, if it was all one character.
Pretty much. That is legitimately exactly what I was thinking. And this first scene that plays out with Dr. Aphra and this other, I guess, archaeologist, maybe bounty hunter that she went traveling with.
So short-lived character.
Oh crap! I forgot to hit start recording. Nope. Guess that means YouTube's getting the Twitch version of everything. Fuck. Shoot. Crap. Butts indeed. And I mean the beginning it's very very Indiana Jones-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Guy comes out with the sacred artifact and immediate death.
I will say, I wish you got to know what it was, because they were talking about how it's great for this civilization, and then you never learn about it ever again, at least in this one.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. And I do kind of like this. You hit the nail on the head for me. Like, this is definitely Star Wars, but the whole story arc itself, huge Indiana Jones like story arc from beginning to end. It's like they're hunting. It is, and they're hunting one artifact in the beginning, and then Dad comes in talking about the Lost Ark, not the Lost Ark, the
Lost City.
Yeah.
Temple?
Citadel, as I believe what he called it, and instead of the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And father and daughter embark on an adventure to find the Holy Grail. I mean,
and they are estranged.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It is definitely a story that's been told, but I really like it in the setting of
Star Wars.
And
I liked, I was going to say, and with all the Jedi, but that is kind of the setting of Star Wars. So I guess
Well, and I think that's one of the things I like about Dr. Aphra as a comic for Star Wars is she's not a Jedi.
Yeah.
Like we're not following around some all-powerful, mystical, magical being through the universe. We're following a chick with two robots that does archaeology.
Oh my god, though. The robots definitely, I guess for the very first little intro, I don't know if I just glazed over the word murderous or if it was not included in the very first description of the plot. And when they murdered that guy, I was like,
Oh
He's the
yeah.
dark C-3PO, man.
Well, I mean, it is a black C-3PO, right? That's why it's dark.
So then why was C-3PO's arm red?
There's actually a comic book that goes over why his arm is red.
I hate that you had an answer.
I'm gonna throw that out there. I'll make you read it another time. It's a single issue comic, and it's actually kind of sad.
But they were so devoted, the droids.
Oh yeah, because they were programmed that way.
To be devoted?
Yes.
To Aphra?
Yep, because she was the one who found their programming and put it in there. I think there's another arc with Zero, where he's finally able to bypass the programming and gets so mad that Aphra doesn't let him torture people that he tries to kill her.
I was gonna say it's like a guard dog, but that would be like a rabid guard dog.
Maybe we'll read that at some point.
Oh no.
Because yeah, I mean, 000 and BT are part of my favorite parts of these comics. Yeah. Because like BT has like all of these weapons. Just like built into them.
I loved the small. I mean, I like the small dialogue between C-3PO and R2 also, but this being so dark, I thought was 10 times funnier.
Right?
No, you can't set him ablaze.
Well, and that
and the whole like combustion is not a real thing. I was like, oh.
Spontaneous human combustion is not a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You watch it and you definitely, like, you look at them, and of course you're just thinking someone painted C-3PO and R2 black, for the most part.
Okay, C-3PO, though, is more rounded. That looks like a different robot.
You mean R2?
I do mean R2.
Okay.
This is just like everything else. I get names confused, and I'm looking at the stupid panel right now, and I didn't say it right.
It's okay. But you know what I mean. I think it's meant to inspire that, like, you're looking at this, like, knowing Star Wars, and you're just seeing evil versions of C-3PO and R2-D2. Like, that is the point that the storytellers are trying to make. And if you tell me that is not the point that the storytellers were trying to make, even if the storytellers told me that this was not the point that they were trying to make, I would call bullshit on them, because that is what this is. And you look at it, and that is where you get a lot of the humor, because you just imagine C-3PO's voice saying all of these terrible things, like, no, spontaneous human combustion is not a thing.
And being so passionate, just like how he was so scared in all the movies, kind of a thing, where he's like, oh, but I want to.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there are comics where the two get to interact with each other, and it's also quite funny. But suffice it to say, I do enjoy the chemistry between BT and 000, and the chemistry between those two and Dr. Aphra.
I agree.
I do find it kind of funny that Daddy Aphra decided that the best way to talk to his daughter again was to blackmail her.
Oh, I love his costume.
Oh, his... I don't even know what that is, but...
I don't know, and I mean, this is super childish, nerdy thing, and you don't know it, but I watched Witch as a kid on, like, 4 Kids, and that's very Oracle-esque. And so it's like, oh, but it's in Star Wars. And then I also liked all the costumes for the Jedi and the flashback. It's like, oh, it's so nice. Which, that might just be something that I'm like, oh, yay, nerd out about.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But I mean, if you went to a Comic-Con, I'd get so excited to see any of these costumes.
Right? And I think that's really great. I love Dr. Aphra's outfit. I love her little, like, flight cap and all of it. I think she's a really neat character, and
I like her tattoo.
Yeah, it wasn't on purpose, but it was also kind of purposely done that I chose for Women's History Month
Oh, yeah.
a woman main character, and I feel like I chose a pretty decent one.
I do too.
And a very like so incredibly interesting. And then it's like you eventually see her as a kid.
Well,
Well, I mean,
college student.
right, a kid, Anna. Let's be honest. And it's like
Not a kid in college.
she's hacking into, her professor's computer and
Her advisor's computer.
Yes.
That's worse.
um, and essentially, putting porn in front of the whole class, more or less. And you get like from a young age, she was already like, okay, I'm too smart for this. I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
dick around. The other thing that I have to say that I really like about the Dr. Aphra comics so far is they're all new characters to Star Wars. It's not like you're not watching. Yeah,
Because I mean, in the second one, it kind of already hinted that Luke's going to be in it.
right. And it's nice looking at the universe outside of this small group, because like let's be honest, all of Star Wars is based around like 2 or 3 families.
Yeah.
Like which is
really
fine. Like that, all the Harry Potter movies are all based around Harry Potter. Like there's nothing wrong with
okay,
that,
but that is stated in the name.
right? And the scope of a wizarding school is a lot smaller than an entire new galaxy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to kind of get to look at other kinds of characters in the Star Wars universe and see,
Also, while they're happening at the same time as the original trilogy, I really enjoyed that.
yes.
And I was very much like the daughter with the whole, what do you mean you don't know that this just happened?
Yeah, so this takes place in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And yeah, like you get to see how the things that the rebellion and the empire are doing affect the galaxy as a whole. And again, I think one of my favorite parts is finding out that in this galaxy far, far away, there are archaeologists.
I love that. Indiana Jones, like most children, made me want to be an archaeologist. And then mom told me it was boring. And nothing like that.
Oh, I know an archaeologist who would argue with...
Mom said it was like they all become professors, and she was talking about her uncle.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, it makes sense that there would be archaeologists in this world. I mean, there are restaurant owners, there are...
But they open up, them being archaeologists opens up a lot more that you kind of wonder about.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the mask and with those alien things in the tube. Unless you already know that because you've read other things.
I don't know what those aliens in the tube were. I know what you're talking about. I just, I looked at them and I'm like, there is something that I'm sure, because I didn't have a chance to really read as much as I would have liked to into the backstory of Aphra. But the fact of the matter is, this book got me excited and interested enough to want to know more about the backstory of Aphra before we did this episode tonight. But yeah, and one of my big complaints with seeing the same characters from the movies and the comics is the art of the way they make them look, because it's really, really disconcerting. And I'm sure you saw it a little bit, like what I was talking about with that preview of Luke.
I didn't find it all that bad, but
That one was probably one of the better of the ones. After this, I'll show you like the Star Wars comic, and it just, I don't know, it weirds me out. It's like,
I mean, I've seen it because I read the first 3 issues of Vader when it very first came out. So
the Vader comic's really good.
I only read the first 3. That was when I was going issue by issue at the comic book store during college.
Gotcha. Yeah, I almost wish I had done Vader down for our comic this
liked
month.
this one. I really enjoyed
I liked this one too. But there are so many. I love Star Wars so much. There's so many good Star Wars comics and so many good stories to read, and I can't choose a Star Wars comic every month.
Look how cool that costume is.
It really is. It really is a good costume. And look at Kirstenton in the back. He's just like,
I know. His facial expressions during the father-daughter interactions were great.
Yeah, absolutely. He
did not appear blue, though, I will say, during this entire thing. He looked blue on the cover. He's black.
I think it's just how...
I was disappointed.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I want a rainbow Wookiee.
Well, I'm sure somewhere in the Star Wars universe exists some kind of like punk Wookiee that lives on Coruscant that is all decked out in different colors of the rainbow with its hair like all spiked out in different directions. I bet that exists.
I love that.
Just for you. It's a big galaxy. And all of these interactions between Aphra and her father in the beginning, it was really enjoyable. It was like, I can't get what I want out of you. Okay, 000, you do it. And and then of course her dad's like, you couldn't do that to your father, could you? No, I couldn't. 000, stop. It's like, oh my god, just like instant.
But it was great character building choosing to have the dad in the first volume also, because you got so much backstory without having to do a bunch of flashbacks. I did enjoy, though, the university flashback.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of what made Aphra a good... makes a good starting point for if you want to read Star Wars comics and if you want if you're interested in the character, because while, this starts in the middle of Aphra's story in the timeline of the rebellion, in the Age of Rebellion, it is still a good origin story for her.
It is, and I feel like, which I know every Star Wars comic starts this way too, but with those cap card or like recap cards type of a thing in the very beginning,
where it does like the title crawl, but
they're much more detailed than other like sum ups. Like last month when we read House of M, and it was like 2 sentences for each the X-Men comics and the Avengers comics to sum up like what you missed.
Right.
I think that you wouldn't be lost truly in any Star Wars comic because of that.
I agree with that 100%. From this also comes from me reading a lot of Star Wars comics already, and that's going to be the fact if you pick up any Star Wars book, whether you decide to pick up any run of Vader, which I'll say the 2018 run, the current run, has been my favorite so far. If you pick up any run of Star Wars, if you pick up, any of those, all of the stories pretty frequently intersect with one another, because Leia has a comic, Han has a comic, there's the Star Wars comic, the Vader comic, the Aphra comic, there's a Bounty Hunters comic, and they do...
And the bad guy you like. I can't pronounce his name. Starts with a T.
The bad guy?
Never mind.
That I like that starts with a T.
Never mind.
In Star Wars?
Never mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm really bad. Well, I'm also... Actually, not maybe. I am very bad at spelling. So.
Okay. Anyways. What does he look like?
He's the old guy that dies.
The old guy that dies?
In New Hope. He goes boom with the Death Star.
Oh, Tarkin.
Doesn't he have his own comic? Or is that just book series?
I think he just had his own book.
Never mind.
He might have had his own comic. I'm not sure. Oh, Thrawn. Thrawn also has a comic.
That also starts with a T.
It does. But that's also just the first book. Anyways, we're going way off on a side tangent here. But yeah, and then her father starts talking about this the Ordu Aspectu. And goes over like what the Ordu Aspectu did and who they were. Yep. And essentially that they were on the verge of
a peacemaking or peacekeeping invention or something. He was under the belief that whatever he found there would bring peace to his galaxy.
Right. And some of my favorite art was the difference between these stories.
I really loved all of the color theory in these comics.
Yes.
Like, I don't care what you
100%.
say about the art style. Whoever did the coloring, if it was the same artist or not, did an amazing job.
Yeah, and I mean, just like so Dr. Aphra's father tells this story in a very like optimistic, like idealist kind of way, and you can see it in the coloring and the way the story is told, and then it goes back to Aphra, and she tells the same story
in a more pessimistic,
and
fatalist viewpoint.
And it's like you look at it, it's like, oh my god.
I also like that her hair's pink.
Yeah, and just the N of hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, damn, this is a dark, dark story happening right here. And then, honestly, the best story that never got told in this comic is the version that BT tells.
It was just a big version of him.
I love it so much, and I love 000's response to it. It's like, BT thinks there are many possibilities worth consideration here. He's like, BT's my friend. I'm gonna pretend he said something important.
Yeah, I also like the fact that you get this such a negative outlook on, or you feel like Aphra is such a pessimist.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, she, out of these two characters, in terms of their story and the story retelling of this, is the only one who references actual source material.
How do you mean?
He only references a story, and she references actual translations that have been discovered to kind of back up her thing. So, I mean, it's not even necessarily being pessimistic, but more so being more realistic.
She's very much a realist. Realist versus an idealist, I think, is what we're not necessarily pessimist and optimist. Yeah, you're right. And then the self-centered, egotistical version with BT. Because, again, just look at that. It is gorgeous. Look at giant BT destroying all of these crazies. But yeah, I think overall there was a lot of character building with Aphra, and a lot of
wait, click on that one.
Which one?
That one.
This one?
Yeah. No. Okay, never mind.
Some great nods to the Star Wars universe that you all know, by placing us right on Yavin 4, which, also one of my favorite parts, where her dad's like, what happened here? Why is the Empire here?
Yeah, and
she's like, the Death Star, it blew up.
That's not real. And she goes, you believe in a city that has never been found nor proved.
Yep. Accurate.
And yet there's an entire planet that is currently gone.
So one of the things that I want to read more of Dr. Aphra because what I hope we find is that, we see all of these random things in throughout Star Wars and the Age of Rebellion, and one of the things that always fascinated me was these buildings and structures that they built the Rebel base into.
Yeah, I
And it's
really
like,
the
that they're rebels. They don't have time to set up a world, build all of these temple-looking structures,
yeah.
and continue, fighting in a war. So it's like things that you might not have like really spent a lot of time thinking about, like where the hell did these temples come from?
But I think what I'm hopeful about them also, especially with the Aphra comics being archaeological, is getting some more base like origin stories for the Jedi Order. Which you're probably like, I already know all this stuff. Mm.
I mean, there are lots of good origin stories for the Jedi Order. My thing is, I want to know more about the non-Jedi. Because there is a lot of source material on the Jedi already. I want to know more about...
Okay, then different alien races would also be cool.
Yeah,
That's
or
fine.
like, what did the Jedi mean to each group of people? Like, things like that. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously, Star Wars and the Jedi, they're two things that are absolutely fascinating and all of that. But I want to know... I want to know more about what others thought of the Jedi, especially when there were so many of them. And a place in the middle of nowhere where all of a sudden the Imperials are for no reason. It was fun. And then, oops,
I did 2-page view by accident.
I did. The other thing that I really loved on Yavin is just Chrysanthemum going around and just absolutely destroying the Imperials.
The Yavin comic, though, I think had some of my favorite art.
It's really good art. Like I like this is
It almost had like a Jurassic Park
Yeah.
dated look on it, and the color scheme I thought was gorgeous.
And that is how I felt this whole scene with Chrysanthemum went. It's like this is the people running through the long grass in Lost World and getting absolutely demolished by a velociraptor.
It scared me as a child.
Oh man, tell me about it. Velociraptors are scary.
They're like gators with wings.
What? Okay. Anyways, and then
What they
just
look like. No, not velociraptors, but velociraptors scared me for a different reason.
I think it was also interesting, like
I said velociraptors when I meant pterodactyls. Pterodactyls are like gators with wings.
Yeah.
Velociraptors are just terrifying.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is a good talk
You're welcome.
about Dr. Aphra.
You're welcome.
I also love the interactions between BT and 000 with the random droids. Like,
They blend in though so much better than C-3PO and R2.
well, I mean, it just goes to show how little the Empire thinks droids can do throughout, like, everything. It's like they ignore droids so much. If only there had been an example of a massive war against droids in the recent past that they might be able to think, oh, maybe paying attention to a droid here and there is a good idea.
Yeah. This was another moment. I wish we got to see what all of the lasers created.
What all
the lights created that he was filming. I go, but what? And you never got to see it.
Yeah,
that was true. Sad.
But it was all of the lights coming from all of the temples.
Yeah.
And shooting up. It's super, super interesting. And I have to say, whoever did the cover art for each issue of Dr. Aphra, freaking on point. Like, every single bit of cover art I loved.
I did really love it. I will, however, say
You wish that was what the art was in the rest of the book.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no. That the cover art kind of looks like a manga cover, and then the comic is a comic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
So I mean, that's more. I'm like, both of them are great. Just one has more of a manga vibe, whereas the other one is obviously comic.
I hope we get more of her.
Yeah, she was cool,
She was
and I
an
liked her
interesting.
send off.
Yeah.
The reason you're alive is because I think you're cute. You have
Right.
a terrible taste in women.
Yep. So do you. Is what.
Yeah.
And this was a really interesting story that was
This was also beautifully drawn setting.
absolutely 100% like this city carved into.
The line work in this issue, particularly, was amazing.
Yeah. It was very well done.
The coloring for all of those, and then this being so dark and so sketchy, like sketch heavy, like with all of the
Skeletons.
yeah,
Oh.
and the cross hatching for the shading, I
Yeah.
thought was like a really gritty contrast to all the color.
Yeah, I agree. It almost
Beautiful.
looks pencil drawn.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
or with a one of those fountain pens, the feather pens.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. I know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
But again, like these cover art, I love it.
I do love it. I will, but I still stand by the.
No, I will not argue that. But yeah, and again, it's just like looking at the Citadel. It's so cool looking, and the whole issue just continues on with that really interesting vibe. I don't know how else to call it, and even though this was darker, there were still some beautiful colors throughout.
For sure.
This one.
I mean, another one of my favorite color theory moments was when you see the entity
Rare.
talk about the story, and then like all of that coming to life. So you get all this green from him, and when he brings everything back to attack mode, essentially, there's a heavy like green and orange and action packed. This for the storytelling I thought was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And how the lime green popped, I was really.
And and the story itself was really interesting too. I still don't really know
slightly
who the bad
confused.
guys are and the good guys are in this. Like, there's the Orthodox Jedi, and then there's the Ordo Aspectu.
Okay, how I took it, which I'm probably going to be like, Anna, you're stupid, which is totally fine. How I took,
Continue.
don't nod your head, was kind of an Ultron Vision type of a thing,
Uh-huh.
where the guy created something thinking it would be good, and then so it was like a reverse Ultron Vision. Like Vision was trying to make something, and he was like, oh no, it actually went bad. So, and then the robots rose.
It makes me want to know what the fake Rur was actually trying to do.
Yeah, no, that's what I was like, I was a little confused about what actually happened.
Because, like, obviously
But I got the gist of it.
this is history told from, the loser here. And something that happened thousands
there was
of
really
years
no
ago.
winner.
Right.
There was no winner. And I mean, you're gonna have to find out more because she still has the stupid gem.
Yeah. I'm gonna read the next one.
So
But yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed this book.
and then like this color theory in here too, from that to the next one. I love the blue lightsaber.
Yeah.
I don't have a blue lightsaber, but that's
I love
fine.
I love how different the blade of these lightsabers look.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're old freaking lightsabers, and it actually looks more like a blade than the rounded version that you get even in other comics.
Well, it almost
of
looks
this.
kind of like a flame. that's just a
Yeah.
stabilized flame, which is dope. But see, and then the color change from him being completely in power to everything crumbling around. Gorgeous. I also like the shattered border effect.
Those are things I didn't even think of. This is why I have the art person.
See, and then you get that's reminiscent of the
Of the flashback.
storytelling. And I really, beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
absolutely. 100%. And then, Chrysanthemum abandoning them at this point.
Previous, way
yeah,
before
yeah.
that point.
Well,
And that made that Wookiee lose points for me. I was like, wow.
he is
She had a cool tattoo.
her character design in general is, I think, well done.
I think, because I think the only other Star Wars comic that I've truly read multiple issues of has been the Vader. I read 1 of Leia, I think, and I read 3 of Vader. I think that this one has the most interesting overall character designs.
Yeah.
And costume design.
I'm waiting for it to come out that Dr. Aphra is actually Cindy Moon, and she's been sent into the Star Wars universe by accident. Silk.
Ah!
I'm pretty sure that's her name, Cindy Moon. Oh gosh. Now you made me doubt myself. Cindy Moon and Lex Luthor, right there. But yeah, and then of course a good cliffhanger. Honestly, I think a very good cliffhanger to say, okay, we finished this story arc, but
there's gonna be more.
There is gonna be more, and we introduced this character's backstory. We gave you her father. Now let's show you what she's actually like.
Yeah, it was interesting because, up until this point, you're like, wow, there's been so much character growth just within these first few issues. And then you get back to this and you're like, oh, okay. That's just never mind.
Kidding. But yeah, so story-wise, I think it did great.
Mm-hmm.
Art-wise,
Sure.
I thought it did pretty good also. This one I had a really hard time looking through and picking out favorite panels.
My favorite panels truly just came down to the coloring. As much as I enjoyed it visually, the art style isn't necessarily anything groundbreaking. It's still very comic book. There were some great
Which
line
isn't a
moments.
bad thing.
No, not at all. Not at all. The color artist won it.
Yeah.
For me.
And it's one of those things where the art didn't detract from the story itself.
Mm-hmm. They built off
you're
each
right.
other really nicely.
There was nothing groundbreaking on the art, but it was enjoyable enough to kind of look through and be like, oh, this is cool. I don't feel like I'm missing anything reading through this.
No, and again,
and
my biggest thing is if the art is
too,
bad, I can't read it. I can't get over it. So,
but look at Chrysanthemum's design here. You seeing all of this
filigree detailing.
Yeah,
I'm interested for sure in the next volume because it sounds like you're going to get a lot of him, at least in his story part of it.
I do want to know more of his story because he was obviously a gladiator-esque,
and he was obviously forced to do it.
Yeah,
because the dad was like, oh, I see why you two get along so well. I go.
So I'm interested to read more.
See, I didn't think that was that bad.
So this is also the cover.
That's true.
So keep that in mind. And yeah, keep in mind that that's just the cover. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book.
I want to know what her tattoos also are supposed to mean, because to me, it just looks like a circuit board, which is cool on its own. I don't know if it's supposed to be a circuit board, given that it's in Star Wars. Who knows?
And I love these alternate covers too.
That's always the case. Alternate covers are always.
Oops.
gorgeous.
They really are. I like this one a lot.
I like that one a lot.
But yeah, interesting character. Interesting character. It kind of, for me, it revitalized Star Wars comics with the fact that it's like, hey, there are good Star Wars stories that don't follow just the people that you know.
She's
you know,
easily a character that I could see Disney pick up like an animated series or a cameo in something Brandon.
I live for that. I live for the Dr. Aphra Mandalorian cameo, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, like, this is. I'm glad that we're seeing Star Wars taken to new levels where they're very successfully making new characters and new story arcs based on these characters. And I think Dr. Aphra is the perfect example of. I think Dr. Aphra was one of the first steps in Marvel being like, hey, we can write our own Star Wars story, and have it be captivating. When High Republic finishes, we're going to do High Republic.
Okay.
Because I've read the first 3 issues of it already.
She has the Han Solo belt buckle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a belt with a holster. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a pretty common thing for. She might have stolen it from Han Solo. Also, it's a possibility.
I just noticed that. Sorry, it was random. Also, I want to know if Ahsoka has a comic book series.
I don't think she does.
That's stupid.
I'm sorry. But yeah, like, it was a good book to read. I'm glad this was the one that we decided to go with, and by we I mean me.
Why don't you pat yourself on the back too?
God, I
Your
got
sunburn.
Yep. So for me, I'm going to try to take,
your bias.
my own bias out of it, because I know that I have it when it comes to Star Wars. And yeah, so story-wise, I think is, because of all the reasons I said, like, it's Marvel proving that they can write a Star Wars story that's not, something that's already been told, and not something that we already know.
Yes.
Like, obviously, if we read a Luke comic, we know that if it takes place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, or between A New Hope and
Force Awakens.
The Last Jedi, we know that he lives.
Touché.
Whereas, like, Dr. Aphra, we don't know what the ultimate outcome is of the character. Is she going to be bad? Is she going to be good? Is she going to just ride that line of... Is she going to be more what Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to be? It's a character that we don't know much about. Obviously, there have been a lot of Dr. Aphra comics since then. So we do know a lot more about her now, or could potentially learn more about her now.
Yes. I don't know much.
But this is the start of something new, and it's a good start. And I think for those reasons, for what it was going up against Star Wars fans, which I know I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not like the average Star Wars fan that hates everything Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and I will love everything Star Wars, but I think even Star Wars fans enjoyed Dr. Aphra.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it did a good job of...
Star Wars fans can be mean.
Star Wars fans are the worst, man. Almost as bad as comic book fans, honestly. Comic book fans can be really gatekeepy. Like, oh, you really liked the Avengers movies? Well, do you know what actually happens with the Infinity
Okay, well,
Stones?
that's not fair. Yeah.
It is a really good one, Zip. This book was really awesome, and there's probably slight bias in it, but I do give the story a 9 out of 10 on this one. Just because of what it was able to do for the Star Wars universe and the fact that it's a good comic book to just pick up and read if you want to read comic books and love Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm having such a hard time judging on what I like want to give it, and I'm kind of between an 8 and a 9, and I feel like realistically there's no reason why I should give it an 8 instead of a 9, because if anybody came up to me who asked me what comic to read and they gave me a criteria of just really liking sci-fi, being a huge Star Wars fan, and wanting just to get into the medium type of a thing, totally recommend. Awesome character. Would love to see more of her in the future. I think that her character arc has so many possibilities, also given that you've never met her before. Well, okay, and Vader, apparently.
Well, yeah.
But in the universe of Star Wars, at least cinematically, you've never
Right.
encountered her. So yeah, I guess I will give it a 9, because there's no reason really to give it an 8 other than I'm like,
It was a good story, and again, it did something good for comics, and it's something good for new and old comic book lovers alike, and new and old Star Wars lovers alike. I think you still have to like Star Wars to like the comic. Maybe.
no, I think that if you don't like Star Wars, but you like Indiana Jones, if you don't like Star Wars, but you just really like action and you like sci-fi, you're going to enjoy this, because it's not necessarily a character that's so immensely consumed in the current like Star Wars franchise in terms of the war and all that. She's such an outer character.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like somebody enjoying no, I got nothing.
Okay.
I was just talking to talk.
Art wise, I still really liked the art. I thought there was quite a difference in art at the very beginning of the book and at the very end of the book. And I'm not sure if the artists change in an issue or something along those lines, um, but it didn't take me out of the story or anything like that. And I I did enjoy the visual humor and just the way that the artist did bring Star Wars to life, um, without it just seeming like they were trying to go with like super CGI looking escapes, like some of the Star Wars comics have done in the past.
They didn't rely on anything other than traditional medium.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's digitally, drawn and all of that stuff, it reads like a classic comic versus reading as somebody who got real happy in Photoshop.
Right. And like I said, there wasn't a lot of panels that really stuck out to me as like, oh wow, this is an amazing panel. But there are bits of art that I look at and I'm like, oh my god, that's beautiful. And like specific details in it that I'm like, oh man, this is great. Um,
I mean, look at his face. See,
Yeah.
it's always when the father and the daughter are interacting. And he's like, oh, tension. It's in the air.
and I think I give the art probably I really want to give it an 8, but something tells me I should give it a 7, but I can't really pin down why other than the fact that it like I don't know. Like is it because I couldn't find like that panel that was just like wow to me.
I mean, if it didn't resonate, I get it. I think I'm going to score it surprisingly high in terms of not being able to necessarily pinpoint a panel, but the overall story art. And I mean, I didn't say this in here. I didn't really talk a lot about the art in here, but when you were talking to me about
There are
the
things that
classic, or we were talking about how you don't like the new versions when they have the face characters that everybody associates with.
this
And I
was my
was
favorite
saying,
page.
you like the full page
No,
panels. Not
but
necessarily like the full page, but like every time you show me
it's not
something
even
online that you like, it's all a million panels that cover an entire page.
no, but
Like-
like this isn't even like I like it because of the art. I like this part of the story.
Oh, I'll tell her later.
Yeah, it's like this is like the beginning of where you can see that 000 is like if she dies, I can go murder people as much as I want. And I'm sorry, I did interrupt you, but I did want to point out that with the art, I think my initial score was the 7 until you started explaining some of the color theory things to me, and that just made me start to appreciate some of the bits of art there more. And I think that might be why I lean more towards the 8 is just because I wouldn't have been able to pick it out on my own, so maybe I should still give it a 7, but like looking back on it with that in mind, it was really beautifully done.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm even, which to me is crazy because I don't think it's one of those ones that well, maybe it will be, where I'll go back, and I'm a huge rereader, a huge rewatcher. I do all the content over and over again until it's dead. So who knows? This might be one of them. But when we were talking about the face characters, and I had mentioned that I liked the original Star Wars comic art, like the classic look for it, just and that's how they should kind of approach the face characters, as just a generic or a throwback to what they were originally visualized as and drawn as. So I think that this one does a really good job of having like classic comic art, a throwback like to hinting at the classic Star Wars in terms of like the color blocking and things like that. I think that the color theory throughout all of the issues was stunning. Like 10 stars for whoever came up with the coloring. Regardless if, it's watercolor or traditional looking, that would really give it like a 10 out of 10, but it's not getting a 10 out of 10. But because it kind of lends itself back to that, there were really great detail moments. There were really great line art moments. I just really love all the color theory. And it approached borders in a way to enhance the story that I'm always for. I love the breaking down of borders and like playing them into the storyline.
There were a
and things
lot of
like
different
that.
kinds of borders in this.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But it was the story with the art was told very well.
Yeah, and so I mean, just because it doesn't necessarily come out at you as being like, oh my god, this is the best art on the planet, I think it does everything that it needs to do for this story. And it doesn't detract from it. It lends itself really great with the story. It had a great story. The art just helped the story along. So I think it deserves an 8 or a 9 from me. So I'm kind of like, I don't know which one, because I'm almost like, I feel like 9 should be like, I'm dying. But I think I'll go 8.
Okay.
I think I'll go 8 just because it's traditional. Maybe 9. 8.5. 8.5.
Okay.
I like my decimals.
As long as your overalls are in decimals, that's fine. It just makes it easier to do the math at the end of the month.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I thought overalls, like clothing overalls. I go,
Yep, as long as your overalls aren't.
Good. Oh yeah, and costumes, totally amazing.
Yeah,
I really want to go to a
100%.
Comic-Con and see people dressed up as these characters.
100%. Like even the Jedi.
Like the throwbacks, which I'm almost like, man, I don't know if there's somebody out there who will do it, but I want to see them.
Right?
It was stunning.
gotta do this top knot thing with my own hair.
You just cut your hair.
I know.
You gotta commit.
What a terrible time to decide to do that. Because, otherwise it would have been a good idea.
It would have been. Who knows? That would have been me.
So overall, gosh. I think I want to give this
Wow.
a 9,
Wow.
but I think I'm going to give it an 8.
Wow, so I'm scoring it better than you. Overall, I think it's a 9 because it would be something that I would recommend to anybody who either likes Star Wars, likes adventure, likes sci-fi, just likes good art, or good art storytelling, rather. Like, anybody who's attempting to get into comics by just reading, like, webtoons from their favorite artists type of a thing, this would totally be a great
good
introduction.
transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great transition. Coming from somebody who totally binged a webtoon.
So yeah, I guess when it comes down to it, like if I'm sitting here and like really breaking down my reasoning, I'm gonna stick with my 8. I'm gonna stick with my 8 because I think there's still too much Dr. Aphra I haven't read to know if this is like there is still room for improvement on Dr. Aphra as a character.
Yeah.
And God, this is where I'm about to say what you were saying with Zatanna, where it's like I want to read more to know if I really, really like this.
And now I'm going to say what you said. Wow, so you're scoring a comic down because it's doing what it's supposed to do?
And making me want to read more. Yeah.
Except I reworded mine in the way that better articulated what I meant.
How did you reword it?
Don't ask me, rewatch it.
You don't remember.
I don't remember, but I got there.
I could be convinced to give it a 9, but I think I'm going to, for now, stick with the 8.
I mean, I honestly feel kind of surprised that I'm scoring it so high. Not because I don't think it deserves it, but I almost feel like while I was reading it, I wasn't getting like super hyped while I was reading it. I was honestly just enjoying it. It was kind of like a super chill,
but sometimes you
fun
need
story.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'm like, I don't know.
Like, I mean, sometimes when I'm like reading a series of books and I'm getting exhausted from that series, I read something else that's just, specifically I read Harry Dresden books. Because it takes me like...
so many of them.
There are so many of them, and I don't read it as a series. I read it as my my palate cleanser book.
Okay,
so
my palate cleanser books are like the cheapo Kindle books that everyone's probably like, oh my God, that's soap opera trash. I'm like, yes, but it's my soap opera trash.
But, and I don't want to call this soap opera trash.
Because it's not.
Because it's not, but it's a refreshing comic book.
Okay,
you're not dealing with superpowers. You're not dealing with superheroes.
It's like after you binge a TV show or a movie or something like that is one of your absolute favorites, or that you started watching and you finally like finished the series. Like if you watched Merlin from the beginning and then you got that heartbreaking conclusion. Then you need like a palate cleanser, and so you watch like Young Justice because it's so fun and it's great and it's well done. That's what this is. This is like the Young Justice cartoon break.
Yeah, it's still a palate cleanser, but it's like a more positive kind.
Yeah,
I dig that.
It's refreshing.
It is a refreshing book. It's a refreshing take on comic books. It's a refreshing take on Star Wars, and it is a awesome new character, in my opinion.
I agree. Totally agree. And I love the character dynamics that you get on that ship.
Yeah. Which the ship, Archangel 2, really cool looking.
Okay, I like the name. Seen better looking ships.
It looks almost like a battle droid head flying around.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like it's just like that. That's kind of the vibe I get from it. Let me see if I can find a panel with the ship in it again. Oh, excuse me. I also really liked this panel.
It has a lot of good theatrical moments.
It does, and it's like nothing.
I also think that comics that do a good theatrical paneling lend themselves to being read more often, probably. Because they kind of read, if you're a visual reader, if you're one of those people that can visualize everything moving, it's very similar to like movie panels.
Reels?
The
Storyboards.
Storyboards. Thank you. Storyboards. And so like you can see a movie while you're reading it, because everything is just moving seamlessly in your head, and you're just like, oh, camera 2, go camera 4. You just dropped your pen. Cut.
But yeah, doesn't that kind of sort of look like a battle droid head with like a weird crown? No?
I see it as one of those cannon blasters that just unrolled.
Okay. Fine.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm
Yeah,
just picking
yeah.
a different android.
No, I understand the droidicas. I could see that. The destroyers.
Yeah, they're just missing the bottom half.
Yeah. And the big shield, the bubbly shield.
They don't always have the shield.
I know. Anyways, so not bad. I feel a little better about this month already than I do about last month.
Yeah, but I really don't want to lose this month again.
Oh yeah, by the way, at the end of this episode, I'll play the Anna taking her shot of hot sauce.
Because I lost the very first month.
Yes, and what happened after that?
It wasn't
because
my
I lost
fault.
the second
You
month.
can get upset all you want, but it wasn't my fault. I hit record, and then you wanted me to be the one to dump the water on you.
So we hit record, and it recorded up to like
When
5 seconds before Anna dumps this bucket of ice cold water on me.
Which is funny.
And I freaked out. I freaked out and immediately started running around. And then I go look at my phone, and it says an error has occurred during recording. And I'm like, no.
And then he yelled at me because he thought it was my fault.
I didn't think it was your fault. No, not even for a second did I think it was your fault. What I yelled about was just my own frustration and the fact that I was still freezing cold.
Look, I think you handled it way better, and I love you. I'm glad that it happened to you during that challenge and not me, because I probably would have burst into tears. I really don't handle the cold well. Like, I didn't handle the hot sauce well, but I really don't handle cold well.
So, we will be re-recording me getting a bucket of ice water dumped on me.
Although this time I think we've learned we're going to just stream it.
Yes. Yes. We're going to actually live stream these things in the future, so that it'll be a super short stream.
Like a burst.
Yeah. But at least I'll know that it's on the internet somewhere and that I've got a backup of it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no is right.
Yeah, that is accurate. It was so heartbreaking.
I said oh no in my video.
Oh no.
And you and Lee made fun of me.
But yeah, so that's where we are with that. What are we reading next week?
My choice, which is a DC.
Thank God, because I didn't remember what it was. I remember what it is.
My choice, which was DC, or for DC, was Green Arrow comic.
Quiver?
Yes. I knew it was bow something, like with a bow. I know that's not very creative on my part, but I remembered that much. Yes, it's Quiver.
Green Arrow Quiver. I'm actually kind of excited about reading it.
I got excited about reading it. I mean,
I don't think I've read anything Green Arrow other than
Rebirth. Yeah, but he doesn't get enough. He gets more attention than Green Lantern, sir. You've read Green Lantern comics, haven't you?
Only a couple.
Okay, but I haven't read any Green Arrow comics, and I've read a few.
But I don't read a lot of DC in general.
Which is so weird to me because you're the one who got me into DC.
Well, yeah, I mean, I used to read a lot of Batman.
I love Nightwing.
And I've read quite a bit of Flash. But
I've read a lot of Flash.
I love Flash. Best DC hero.
Nightwing. Okay.
Anyways, so that's what we'll be reading next week. Anna, on the internet, where can people find you?
On the Instagram, that's pretty much it. I have 2 different accounts. I have a personal account, which is Anna_Riddick, and I have an art account, which is A_Riddick_designs. So yeah.
She really likes the underscores.
They don't let you use the same usernames, and underscores make you original.
You can find me everywhere on the internet. It's Ben Pie.
Wow.
Twitter, it's Ben Pie. Instagram, it's Ben Pie. TikTok, it's Ben Pie. I've never posted a TikTok in my entire life.
Do you have? Oh yeah, you do have a TikTok.
I do have
That's
a TikTok.
how you send me all the TikToks.
Yep, it's true.
I don't even have a TikTok.
Doesn't matter. Twitch, it's Ben Pie. YouTube, it's Ben Pie. You know what? If you see anything anywhere it's Ben Pie, it's probably Ben Pie. Alrighty, guys. Until next week, Shalom-Aste.
Shalom-Aste.
But stay tuned for a second as we move to desktop 1,
Bum, bum, bum.
so that we can sit here and watch Anna.
Oh, no.
Oh, it has to download it because I
So
tried.
prepared.
Shh. It's fine. There we go.
I can't do the whole open your throat and then it just goes down.
Oh, nope. Well,
that's
that's
What did
good
you
because
do?
it's hot sauce. Pull up a little bit. Oh my God.
See, it's cold enough that I'm wearing a jacket and my sweater.
Yeah, it's
And he
cold outside.
And he did the ice bucket challenge. See, I wouldn't have been happy. I would not have been happy. Can people hear it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I can tell because that bar's moving.
No, not duh. My hot sauce is tropical. Okay.
Stop stalling. Do it, Anna.
My hot sauce is tropical and it's
Oh
amazing.
no, that stuck to my tongue. Oh no, I didn't bring out my drink.
That really did follow everything.
Yeah, it did. And then it's like, okay, she's gone. Let's look at Lee now. Oh, let's watch it again. Just. Well, that's good because just to really. A little bit.
My sweater matches my leather jacket quite
Take this shot and think of your failure in picking comics that first month.
You know what? I'm chilly outside. At least I get something warm.
I'm gonna run straight to the shower as soon as we're done, though, Anna.
What does it smell like?
Hot sauce.
I'm also so bad. I wanted to smell it.
Okay.
What did it smell like?
No, not duh. My hot sauce is tropical. Okay.
Stop stalling. Do it, Anna.
Oh no, that stuck to my tongue. Oh no. I didn't bring out my drink.
Oh, Anna, I love you. And away she goes. Perfect. That was beautiful, Anna. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching. Next week we'll have me doing the Ice Bucket Challenge again.
Shalom-Aste.
Shalom-Aste.
A good exit.